Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be on a cheap slash free mod that you can do to your Jeep JL with the heat extractor hood. So on my Rubicon, the Jeep hood has hood louvers on them. Now these are technically not functional, but we're going to do a quick and easy mod, basically cutting out the sides so that heat can easily get up and out of the engine bay. The reason why I'm doing this is I did this on my JK with a similar style hood. The reason for that was that the ambient temperatures inside the engine compartment are typically pretty high. That's not to say that your Jeep cooling system isn't working effectively and the engine temperature is okay, but you have a lot of components, mainly wiring, plastic, that will absorb heat and then can fail. On the Jeep JLs with the 2-liter, which is what I have, the reservoir for the coolant system sits up pretty high next to the hood, and it is a common failure point. So what I'm trying to do is modify the hood scoops to be functional, to let that excess heat out of the engine bay, especially at low speeds and when you turn off the vehicle when the fan and the water pump are not running, to try to get some of that heat out of the system and prevent the expansion tank from failing. So I'm going to take a quick trip, get everything up to operating temperature. I'm going to put a thermostat in the interior or engine compartment rather, and kind of see what temps we're talking about, do the modification, see how it helps. Alright everybody, so I just pulled into the garage here, and this is the off-road pages gauges. So you've got coolant temperatures 190, 192, oil temps 185, 12 or 14 volts, 19 psi, transmission temps 145. Ambient temperature is currently 77 degrees. Alright everybody, so now with the engine still running, got my infrared thermometer, and we're going to take a look at a couple spots on the engine and then compare those after the mod. So up first, engine cover right on the 2-liter, got 119. The coolant is 167 for the reservoir. To PCM 104, and then we'll check the battery on the plastic. That's 117. And then I'm also got a thermometer here. I'm going to put in the engine bay and put it in there for 5 minutes, and it's currently 79 degrees ambient in the garage. Right, so I'm going to put the thermometer right there, and we're going to wait 5 minutes and shut the hood. Alright everybody, so I just opened this sucker up, and it is a 118 there on the engine cover. Alright, so now we're going to get to the fun part, the meat and potatoes of the video, and that's going to be modification. So step one, going to remove the insulation, sound deadening material, heat insulation. A little bit of a debate online as to what its true function is. I think mainly it's for sound. Modern engines, people want quiet interiors, vehicles, stuff like that. The 2.0 is a noisy engine to begin with, so that's probably why Jeep put it on there. So gonna remove that real quick, pull the hood louvers out, and then we're going to reinstall the insulation, mark where it needs to be cut, and that'll be for that. And then we'll modify the hood louvers put it all back together, see how she does. All right, everybody, so got the insulation panel out. Did break a couple of the Christmas tree clips. You'll have that. But again, that goes back to why I'm kind of wanting to do this, is because that plastic gets really brittle from the excess heat. So we're going to try to remedy that real quick. So next step is to get the hood vents themselves actually out. Pretty simple. There are clips on each side that retain it to the hood. So you just have to release the pressure off the clips and they should pop right out. All right, everybody, so I've got the hood closed and I wanted to show you something, and I think I'm going to modify my initial plans a little bit. So first is the driver's side of the vehicle, and I'm going to show you what's in the hole there. Put a light on there. All right, hopefully you can see that a little bit better. But as you can see, there's nothing too crazy as far as like electronics or anything. I mean, you got your ABS, the turbo's kind of close there, but there's really not a lot underneath that vent hole. So if water was to get down in there, that's not going to be a huge deal. On the passenger side, it's a little bit different because, hopefully you can see that a little bit better, we got the battery right there. And so you've got a bunch of electrical connections and things like that. These are all waterproof, or at least they should be, but I'm probably going to err on the side of caution. So right now my plan is on the driver's side, I'm going to cut it completely out just for ease, because again, there's not really anything that will matter if it gets wet. On the passenger side though, I am probably going to have to hook up a drain, or I'm gonna have to make slits out. So it's not gonna flow as well on the passenger side, but it's still gonna offer some protection for those electrical components. So now I'm gonna put the insulation back in the hood and cut where I need to, or mark where I need to cut it. All right, everybody, so I've got the hood insulation basically back installed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out on this passenger side, basically just kind of the back, I'd say 2/3 of this. My plan is I'm going to kind of make it so that I'm taking out a smaller cross section on the passenger side, but then it's not going to look symmetrical. It won't matter. It's underneath the hood. No one knows. No one's really going to see this. But basically, I can see where there's kind of dirt and debris, and that's where I think the water, when it comes in, is pooling. So as long as I kind of stay out of that, I think we'll be okay. It's also kind of the low spot too, but it's definitely up here in the front. So I'm going to leave the front section and kind of closer to the driver's side where there's not as much of the electrical stuff. That's where I'm going to make my cut. So we'll probably do something like that, and I'll show you because I know you can't see this right now, but we will take that out and see if it works. And the great thing with this is if it doesn't work, I can always cut more out, like if it's not enough. So it should be though, and a little bit of rainwater is really not going to hurt anything. I just don't want, you know, a deluge to go down in this. So we're going to do the other side, and it's going to be a lot easier because I just cut out the whole thing. All right, guys, so hopefully you can see a little bit better what I'm talking about. So on the driver's side here, I'm just cutting the whole thing out. And on the passenger side, where you got some dirt and debris, I'm just gonna probably cut that corner off and right there, and I'm gonna do this inside, so I'm gonna leave this here so it kind of protects that battery a little bit better. All right, everybody, and that's kind of the finished cut for both sides. So I've got some edge trim here. It's got double-sided tape on the back of it. Just use this to kind of clean up the hole a little bit. It attaches nicely to the foil, not so much to the fabric, so I just got to do the other side. Biggest trick is just do a little bit at a time, so do like an inch or two, pull back the tape, get it secured, move forward. And then in the corners where it's sharp like this, I'm just cutting it off and doing it around. So it would be great if it was, you know, one piece, but with the material, it's just not working out too well. So I'm gonna get the other side done, and then the insulation pad will be ready to be installed. And as you can see on the back of this, it is metallic, so it does have some heat resistance too, where it's deflecting the heat, probably as a thermal barrier, so excess heat's not coming in from the roof, and then heat from the engine isn't coming up, going onto the, or not the roof, but the hood, excuse me. And so it's just acting there as that thermal barrier. So hopefully we can get more heat escaping out of the engine compartment and keep, like I said, those plastic components happy. All right, everybody, so that is what the inside of the hood liner is going to look like. So yeah, I think that one turned out pretty well. Now we're going to modify the vents, put those in, and then put the hood liner back in, put some Christmas tree clips back in. I did break a couple, so you might want to have a few on hand just to replace those, but we're going to put it all back together and then test her out. All right, everybody, this is definitely overkill, but I got to go to a wedding later today, so my wife would probably kill me if I got anything in my face, and I don't want to lose an eye because these discs with the Dremel can explode and go everywhere. So what we're going to do is, this is the passenger, or excuse me, the driver's side. Make sure it's the driver's side, and we're going to cut basically along this seat ridge line and cut the whole bottom section out. All right, everybody, so here is the driver's side, and it is cut out completely. So as you can see, came out pretty easy. Dremel on that makes pretty short work, so just get covered in little bits of plastic, and it cuts and it also melts it, so just have to go back with your hand and break off the kind of melted plastic and smooth out that edge. If you really wanted to be, you know, super precise, you could always use a file and clean it up that way, but that one's ready to go back in. Now the fun one is going to be the passenger side, because again, I'm not cutting out the whole thing. I'm going to do on the sides, you can see that here, basically I'm going to cut a couple holes that way, so you'll see what I mean. We'll get to it. All right, so now that I got this in the vise, got some rags on here to protect the plastic. I'm literally, there's a seam right here, I'm just going to zip right along, and then up here is where the it goes into the clip, so probably just at the top of that. I don't think that'll get into there. Let me double check here real quick. Yeah, so there I got marked, so I'm going to go, I'm not going to go all the way up. I'm going to scoot down here a little bit. There is the outside plastic, but I don't want to nick it from the back side and potentially damage it. So we're going to cut that out real quick on both sides and see how she looks. All right, everybody, and this is the final installed product. As you can see, This one's still pretty covered, and then the channel here is still active, so it'll divert water to the side of the Jeep. And then the passenger side here, or excuse me, driver's side here with the turbo is completely exposed because there's not a lot hole going on right down there. So we're gonna take it for a spin, see how much of an improvement we get. And then when we're leaving here in the garage, temperature is currently 83 degrees. So it's warmed up a little bit. So we'll see if there's any improvement. All right, everybody, same deal. So I just got done with the trip there, and then we've got our off-road pages here. So we are now 199 as the coolant temperature, 194 is the oil, 177 for trans, and oil pressure is 18 psi, and the ambient temperature is 83 degrees. So now I'm going to turn off the engine and put the thermometer underneath the hood like we did last time and see if there's any change. All right, everybody, while we're waiting for that timer, I just want to let you know, got my hand over here and I can feel the heat just pouring out of these driver's side vents. Let's check the passenger side. All right, still feel some coming out, not as much as the driver's side at all. But again, there's a lot of heat with the 2.0s, with the turbo being right there. And also the catalytic converter is right underneath it. So that's two areas where there's a lot of heat being produced. And it's natural that that's, you know, heat rises, thermodynamics 101. So we'll see if there's any change. Basically, my thought process is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the temperature should be a little bit warmer just because ambient temperature is also warmer. But like I said, we can see what the difference is there and kind of compare and contrast. And hopefully there's a difference. If not, I still think that this is a worthwhile mod. It doesn't really cost you anything, maybe, you know, an hour or so. And I do think it's going to have an impact when you're, especially wheeling, when you're crawling, going very slow. Highway speeds, this is not going to matter because where the windshield is right here, it creates a high pressure zone. Basically, the air comes along, it gets stacked up, and the air can't come out of these vents very effectively. But you're getting plenty of airflow through the radiator because you're going at highway speeds. You don't even need a fan at that point. Where this is really going to help you, again, is where you're, you know, kind of going that 1 to 2 miles an hour. Ooh, it is kind of warm there. Have my hand on the vent. Where you're going really slow, there's not that high pressure zone in front of the windshield, and it's going to let that hot air escape out of the engine compartment. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes and see what the results are. All right, everybody, so I just pulled this out, and we are at 126 degrees on the engine temperature. So I'm going to compare and contrast the numbers in the video and kind of give you an idea of the difference right here. So we will see how much of an improvement, if any, this mod added. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, appreciate each and every one of you. Currently we are, I think, 340 subscribers. Haven't looked at it in a day or so, but well on the way to 500 and then on to 1,000. So if you have the Rubicon, like I said, I like this mod. It doesn't cost you anything. Jeep should have done this from the factory. On the JKs, they actually, on the hood insulation, they actually had cut out already for the vents, so they kind of knew that you were going to do this anyway. So it was one less step you had to do. But even with the JLs, like I said, just took the X-Acto knife, came right out. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap us up, and hope you have a great day and hope to see you on the trails. All right, everybody, I almost forgot this one. So we're going to do the cover, 153. The tank is 182. 2. Battery 135. So hopefully that gives you folks some information, and we'll see what the results were.